There are two main reasons why we have floods in Accra. One is uncontrolled development and government failure at all levels.
Look, as Senior Bentil said, and I'm a bit surprised today, his position may be not exhaustive, and I wish he had an opportunity to elaborate more. For him to say that our challenges, the main reasons for flooding has nothing to do beyond what he claims to be government failing at all levels. You see, if it is misunderstood, it will mean you politicizing this. Because at the end of the day, I've heard you on just a few weeks ago, I heard you say that the problem is in discipline. I heard you say this. No, you never said, and you even mentioned that chiefs are selling lands in waterways and all that. You said it. You never attributed it to government. But so if it is not exhaustive, and that what you said complements others, then you should be given the opportunity to mention the others. But today, yes. But you see, today if you say that it is all government, it is not true.
Abusia mamena wase na mema wakwa aba mesero se obaso na wa subscribe edi amamela ki video na share ma unu bi no nso onya bi enhwe menia expose bi akoso on TV3 na me say me hwe video ro masresa na discussion no na eye between Mr. Kofi Bentil and lawyer Bediako Baidoo awoye akotia member of parliament na discussion no ni na efa incline and I say Greater Accra region Friday ya ekoso yesisi ababe deja e wo Ghana memo ha no ehun na wey na Mr. Kofi Bentil wasi nebo aka say Friday na ekoso no eyenima mienu na massa Friday no okay every year na until say be find a lasting solution to those two problems no there is no way Friday no ebe stop it na on kasa nsem mienu no ema yenti a wose baako uncontrolled development say nkrofo ACC dan ACC miamia bia omo epe without any proper planning. It's ensure if hana se okusi dan edisi ho you are blocking the waterways enti eba sa na ebema ensure no abu afa baby fufuro eno no etumi ema fraden e woke and there is another one eye total governmental failure or say aban no fail in all aspects and also eka ho ema Friday no our care this time mo EBNC da e wo Ghana memo ha no na we na wo kan nsema we wie na honorable and I said lawyer Bediako Baidoo so inya kwanya o kasa na o kire se Mr. Kofi Bentil o ye adesuban bi dia Yesu Kristo kra kwa so dem ekoka se suban no ompe eye obi asabe o ye nyaatwum because be se na wotwe miensani na Mr. Kofi Bentil wo nya kwanya e political platform bi so a okokan se South Friday ya e wo kill in Accra no eye indiscipline on the part of the citizens enti ene obabenya opportunity na se o kan sa indiscipline na wo kan na wotwe miensa atwamu no wanka eho asem na embo government no na wo bremu no se wo feri edi be na government na ya wo feri because omuba ye no they are making some progress in solving that problem enti se omugusu na omo ye hihye na se hihye no ebia enko awieye na se issue ato na se problem aba ekwanya ye nyina yebetumi afaso na yeto ato adwe na yenya lasting solution to the problem no and was ye faso but if you are turning to blame the government of the day naturally say the odikan ekan ye no oye ayenya atwum because nipa baako wo say eye indiscipline and ekoso sa Friday no and na wunya opportunity wo say eye system failure na say governmental failure and na ema sa Friday ekoso enti emuri ehin na yemfa enti Mr. Kofi Bentil wachire na dwen e dia fa Friday na ekoso ewo Nkramontin so no ehun san so na lawyer Bediako Baidoo awoye akotia MP ono so se one Kofi Bentil enya adwen no no so aka nsem bi ewo se ade bia esia then the citizens are tending to blame it on politicians but any politicians nkoa e de betumi aye ade no amano aye because oko municipal district assemblies and metropolitan assemblies na there are people there abano etria omoka awode aduma binom ahye omonsa e wose omo eye but say bibi esia we tend to ignore those people like e wose omo edisa aduma no na emom executive no and I say our registrators no na ye bremu omo na ye jai enkofo no wo municipal metropolitan any district assemblies na was omo dis adwuma no na ye jai omo na emum MPs na ministers na omo hold government appointments no na ye no omo enya enti ono so wa kire nsem bebree mu ama ntiase yenya ntiase ewo de ono so all kan emu enti mesra so obenya abotre na wa hwe video no edi akwakosi awie na ohu die Mr. Kofi Bentil okae ene die lawyer so waka enti mamefa wo esi ya na ye hwe video no emra na wunya unsubscribe ya na wa subscribe edi mama like video we na share ma video no so onya bi enhwe yenti omo emra yekoba yebetwa so edi afiro meda wase.
So Doc, thank you for coming in. This is not against you, but I don't think Garrett is going to solve any problem because you deal with the problem where it is. So I don't mean it personally, but this is where my problem is. I wish Garrett would focus differently. So Doc said a lot of things. Let me lay this foundation. In Imani, we don't claim expertise in anything. We speak generally as citizens, etc. Okay? But I'm going to break that because on this, I have some expertise. All right? I studied geography all the way and I have a degree. I taught geography and I worked in geographic information systems. I understand these things a bit more than average. And I'm saying these things because I'm going to counter some of the things that Doc has said. He gave many reasons why we have the problems we have, refuse and all those. None of them is the reason. There are two main reasons why we have floods in Accra. One is uncontrolled development and government failure at all levels.
The uncontrolled development is what we see.
He mentioned that.
Yeah, I'm saying he gave many reasons. Okay, throwing of refuse, building in...
that's what I said. I outlined.
Okay. So we need to get it. That's why I said, if we can define the problems well, we know where to go and deal with them. Uncontrolled development and failure of government at every level. He made a point that development is handled at the local level.
True.
Okay, which is to say, you go, you get the land, all right, and then what you build on it is a state function. They have legal authority to step in, okay, and they fail. When they fail, even at the point, that's why we have an executive presidency, okay. The powers of state are vested in him. All ministers work with and through, he works with and through ministers. Okay, let me give you an example. You see Pambros, he's talking about Pambros. I grew up in Dalsoma South Odoko area. Okay, I know that place very well. When we were young, we need to walk around there. It was over 100 hectares squared. It starts from a place called Chaba, okay, which is at the edge of South Odoko, and goes all the way beyond Tetegu. All right? Vast area. Okay, now, today, at Wager Junction, and I'm saying this because everybody's eyes can see it, they have allowed the chiefs there to build on the stream. There's a stream that flows right by the roadside. Okay? They have filled it up. That's where I'll mention. They built directly on the stream. Okay? Now, Pambros that is there. So, Pambros is a wetland, perhaps, but there are things that you can do with those places, compatible uses, that's what we call it. Salt winning is one. So Pambros has been winning salt there for 50 years. Okay, salt is edible. When I say the local people can fail, the chiefs can fail, then the district should pick it up. The districts can fail, the sector must pick it up. You have a situation where in Pambros, by the roadside, they have allowed a cement factory to be built next to a salt-producing entity, edible salt. You understand? That if everybody fails, government, you are seeing it on the wetland. All right? Now, this kind of uncontrolled development is the reason why we're having all these problems everywhere. Why do I call it uncontrolled? You can have development in these areas. Please, because of time, we can't talk plenty, but Google this. How the Dutch tamed the sea. I'm talking about our viewers.
Yeah.
Google how the Dutch, go to YouTube and type in search, how the Dutch tamed the sea. There are plenty videos there, but here's the story. In the Netherlands, when you see all those tulip flowers and whatever, they are below sea level. They are reclaimed from the sea. They built cities on land reclaimed from the sea. It is not wetland though. There are wetlands, they forget. There were deltas and everything, below sea level. We don't have that problem here. They reclaimed them, they built on them, the cities are viable, they are there today. There is a way to do it, okay? So even if you want to have development in those areas, there's compatible use. And then if you want to move beyond compatible use to other forms of development, there is a way to do it. It will work. Okay? So for me, when people talk about, oh, we are going to break down houses, it is not a solution. We've been doing that all this time. It's never worked.
But then if you're built in these areas, well, that are not supposed to be built areas, which is then a result, resulting in a problem, we cannot say that we should allow it to be there.
That sounds reasonable. But the point I'm making, and I speak as a technical person,
yes.
When they build in those areas, they have changed the nature of the space. They've changed the nature of the soil, compacted it. If you break the building down, it sits on the soil they have changed already. All right? Unless you reclaim that place and restore it, it won't soak water anymore. The hills and things that we have compacted, if you build there, compact it, and they break the building down, and the irony is that they break it and then they leave the debris there, you won't solve the problem. Okay? Now, I'm saying all this is because, look, part of the reason, I said the first one was uncontrolled development, government failure at all levels. The second reason is the failure or refusal. We either fail or refuse, okay, to apply technically sound solutions. What I mean is, if you find the problem, like I say, go and break down the building. That is not a technically sound solution. Because that does not, the land has to be spongy. The natural land that is there, that soaks, is spongy. We were just talking about the rivers and that kind of thing. Rivers have their youthful stage in the hills. They have their mature stage when they are coming down, and then they have their old age. Rivers at old age are on flatlands. They create deltas. They move in meanders, and then they deposit. As they deposit, they change. When people come and compact, they constrict them. All right? When they have compacted and constricted it, and you go and break them down, it doesn't release the land to where it was for the rivers to meander and soak.
So beyond the demolition, there has to be a reclamation of the land.
Technically sound
solutions. That's what's going to be happening. Yes.
Okay. Now, these two things are the reasons why we have problems. Let me give you a small example. I used to work in enterprise insurance around the 2000s. And that is when we spent about $35 million trying to dredge the Odo. I passed there every day to work because of some of these things. I took some time and studied the thing. And I told my friends, and I've been saying that since then, that this dredging will never work. I'm talking about technically sound solutions. Today, if you dredge Odo, it will silt the next season. Why? Why? Because when a river meets the sea, it will slow down. A river in its mature state, which is where the Odo is meeting the sea, slows down and deposits what is there. As long as there is environmental degradation and silting, and the silt is carried, when the river meets the sea, it will deposit. Now, if you dredge it this year, next year, it will fill up. Because there's something called sea level. You cannot change sea level except the polar ices melt. Okay? So when you have a certain sea level situation, and the Odo meets there, they will meet at the sea level. Unless you have done what is called, we call it dam, but actually they are locks. Okay? And the sea back, and you get the river, okay, it's a lagoon, to back up and then release it with some force. That silting will never go away. I'm talking about technically sound solutions. I am only a geographer.
Right.
Engineers have to be involved. Hydrologists have to be involved. People who understand these things have to be involved. We've spent, he will tell you, if you add Garrett, there was, when I was younger, something called GEM, Ghana Environmental Resource Management. We spent almost $300 million in the last 20 years. All right? Okay. $300 million, and we haven't solved even the silting of Odo. So I'm telling you something. One, we are not serious. Look, Accra naturally floods, again, because of the geography. Okay? In the 60s and things, like I told you when we were young, we used to walk around these flooding areas. In the eastern side, it was the Sakumo. The river that's called Sakumo. It's the locality that is called Sakumono. Yes. That is on top of the Sakumo. People walk around there and fish there. If you come somewhere in the middle, you have the Kole and Co. If you go to the western side, you have Densu, you have all those other things. They are there. They flood every year. But in those days when people hadn't built in them, it wasn't a problem. When the hills and Co were the way they were, it wasn't a problem. So that's a natural thing that will happen. Now, it is not impossible to change the nature of the land because populations will grow, people will build. But immediately you choose to do that, if you are doing it with technically sound arrangements, you know that when I do this, then I have to do this. Okay? So please, what we need to do is to, one, get these things, they don't lend themselves to quick solution. get people who know what they are doing. And if Garrido succeed, it has to succeed by going back and making sure that the failure of government on the different levels is dealt with. Government people can't sit in ministries and say that it's the local people who have sold the land, so we can't do anything about it. When the flood comes and people die, the president will have to go into a helicopter and people have to go and walk through mud. Every president in my lifetime has walked through mud. We sat here in this country, Jerry Rawlings descended in gutters and was shoveling gutters. Jerry Rawlings, the president. And I remember at the time I said, this is not the solution. The solution is to sack the person who has to do that. Okay, we saw our president now on a helicopter. Dr. Bawumia was walking through the mud. They have done that every time. It will never solve the problem. Baby, I put technical people in the room, have a 5-year plan, let them come up with ideas, and let's face this. No one government will solve this problem.
The point has to be made that all the experts we have are able to tell us what the situation is. And you see, the reason I have a problem with some of the narratives sometimes we hear is this. Look, as Senior Bentil said, and I'm a bit surprised today, his position, maybe not exhaustive, and I wish he had an opportunity to elaborate more. For him to say that our challenges, I mean, the main reasons for flooding has nothing to do beyond what he claims to be government failing at all levels. You see, if it is misunderstood, it will mean you politicizing this. Because at the end of the day, I've heard you, just a few weeks ago, I heard you say that the problem is in discipline. I heard you say this. No. You never said, and you even mentioned that chiefs are selling lands in waterways and all that. You said it. You never attributed it to government. But so if it is not exhaustive, and that what you said complements others, then you should be given the opportunity to mention the others. But today, yes. But you see, today, if you say that it is all government, it is not true. It is not true. The problem actually is in discipline, and you've said it before. I heard you. So today, don't just reduce the thing to government. That's our problem. And then the perpetrators walk free. They do all kinds of things as though, look, the engineers we have, they are apolitical. In every assembly, they have engineers. They have town spatial, what's the name now? Town planning, now spatial, whatever. They are supposed to act. We have them, the laws. I mean, the planning regulations. We have several of them. Who is supposed to enforce it? I personally think that it shouldn't even get to the highest level. It shouldn't take the presidency to put up a committee. I do not even see where the presidency comes in at all, if we are to. That's our main problem. We don't enforce our laws. There are so many regulations, and let us not, as usual, dump this at the doorstep of the politician. There are people who are paid. Nobody, look, let them come and tell us that this politician told me not to do A, B, C, D. Then we will call them out. But to take this excuse, that's our problem. We have that problem with Galamsey, and I know how passionate you are about this. Everybody is running away from the problem. And because we are endangered species, they put every blame on us as politicians, that these people are not allowing me. You have been given if you cannot work, resign. Because it's your duty to make sure that the right thing is done. How many of the politicians, look, even the permit, you know it is not the DCE that signs the permit. So, where are the people? We always don't want to talk about.
So who signs the permit?
The assembly, they're coordinated, there is a committee. If you want to, there is a committee.
Who appoints the DCE?
No, it's not. No, you see.
It's the principle of ultimate responsibility.
No, you put party people who haven't made it in life. All manner of people are
you see,
look. When I talk about the discipline,
I'll come to it. Yes.
So you see, what I'm saying is that when it gets to this point, personally, I think that we should mention the officers or the people. Look, every assembly has all these people. The laws are there. Make sure people don't build on waterways. This committee we are talking, how many are there? And the problem in Central Region, how many of them would represent or would work in the Central Region, in the water region? I I thought that they are going to, I mean, their main mandate is going to be coordination, to prescribe what needs to be done and what should not be done. But at the end of the day, as we speak, there is a challenge we need to resolve. But people are still doing the wrong things. They are compounding the problems. And we have people who are at the local levels who are supposed to do them. So I think that when it gets to this point, let us find out where such indiscipline is happening. Call the engineer there. You leave the politician, leave the DC. Call the engineer there. Find out what he is doing about it. Let him then come and tell you that it is this DC who said I shouldn't do it. It is this regional minister who said I shouldn't.
And he can keep his job. Oh, please.
No, but no. But you see,
which engineer
but we cannot also because we also hear things they also do. But then we always try to chill them. We try not to mention their names and lay the blame
because you put them there.
No, but if he wants to, if he says he's genuine and he's not doing the wrong thing, he can do the right thing. He should proceed.
And you take him to some places.
No,
we don't
you
want
see,
to
so
mention.
for me, we know the problems.
Please,
we know the problems.
Don't exclude it. Maybe you can say it's not as big as this, but to exclude it and say pointing fingers in the other.
Please.
But you know, myself and you as lawyers, until they come to tell us, we hear things sometimes that ends up not to be true. At the end of the day, people also, I'm down there, I also know what happens there. I speak to DCs and they tell me some of the structures, they know nothing about it. But I'm saying that, you see, so let's call out who is directly responsible. He should then come and tell us what made him not act.
Principle of ultimate
No, the ultimate responsibility, I agree. But at the end of the day, before you talk about the ultimate responsibility, these are people who are not beyond rebuke. We can also call them out because the problem, if it is engineering, we have engineers. If it is about the enforcement of the laws, we have people who have been put in charge of enforcing the laws. Otherwise, then let's get them out and then use politicians all through. I'm saying, no, I'm saying we are paying people. They have to work. Let us not continue the path we are. Otherwise, the problem will never get solved. You are saying, and you agree with me, the way our DCs are appointed, some may not even have any expertise in there. But there are experts there. So call them down. Call them out. Let them do the right thing. Not you as a person, but I'm saying as a society, as Ghanaians. And so the discussion has always been about politicians and then the people who are supposed to do or to ensure that the right thing is done go. But you see, beyond all this, I am saying that because of ultimate responsibility, the government would also have to act. And I am aware that there are going to be some stringent measures to even appointees and then the people who the committee and all that. Look, the challenge we have as a people, at the end of the day, we need to pick whatever we think is good for us. If we think that we should proceed with, because when it happened, how many politicians were affected? How many politicians were affected? So we contribute to this and we get affected. And now people have lost a lot. People are not able to even find homes. The government is doing its best, of course, has released over 350 billion Ghana cedis to help these victims at least find some respite in their livelihoods. But it may not be enough. We pray that if there are also some private entities who may come to their aid, they should come and do it. But that is just a reactionary measure. At the end of the day, if we want to be ruthless, we want to enforce discipline, we have to go all out. And this is not politics. And I do not subscribe to, arguing on political lines. If somebody wants to do it, fine. Because you see, over the years, President Akufo-Addo's era, there were flats. President Mohammed's era, there are flats. Even President Kufo, President Rollins. And so if you want to politicize, it's your own matter.
Yes, Mr. Kofi Bentil akasa sanso na lawyer so wachele na wi na ye beka ene se asem esia sabe enya NDC fo nko anan na be say enya PP fo nko anan na be say eye timamufo so we NPP so we NDC o problem no eba ibi ebeka ho ntisa asem bi say esia e wo se nyina ye baako na ye toto adwense na be ebekuna find a lasting solution to the problem eno no be yase say ye bebremu obi ubremu nipa no still na problem no eda so ewo ho na won find a solution to that problem what you see say ya na sensuo no ejai a na ya jai eno so agu ho na sie na the same conversations asan so start nti e besere mpan fo no se bibi say esia omo nyina anye baako na omo ntoto adwe se ne be ya omo be find a lasting solution to the problem rather than say we be can say na we so can say na sensuo no ejai to a ye jai ni na e de agu ho na sie yes I started the same conversation entiminua the etwagu on the political space no ebi ena mede ababesumu yi beslo say answer na ye be kono unya unsubscribe ya na wa subscribe e de amama like video na share ma wonu bi comment bi ala wo no comment section wona twere ni na afagu ho e mame na yi na entoto ya adwen se ne be ya oman Ghana e betumi akonanim mame na wase na memfa wo esi ya beslo say obehwe ohunsu yi mene wo ebehie bi sisi yi de makra bye bye.